At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. A moment comes, which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends, and when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance.
These words from Jawaharlal Nehru's iconic speech signaled India's independence. A nation that was in the clutches of colonialism for 200 years and was considered as the prized jewel in the crown of the British Empire was now finally free. As the 12th chime of midnight died out, the sound of conch shell heralded a new dawn, and the members of the Constituent Assembly rose and pledged to dedicate themselves in the service of a new India. Soon, Hansa Mehta, an educationist and a women's rights advocate from Gujarat, presented the national flag to President Dr. Rajendra Prasad on behalf of the women of India, and freedom fighter and politician Sucheta Kriplani sang the national anthem Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He. And with this, the House was adjourned for a few hours until 10 o'clock of the 15th of August, 1947. The entire proceeding was broadcasted through loudspeakers and heard by multitudes of people who gathered outside the central hall of the Parliament.
And India discovers herself.
Have you ever wondered why and how this particular midnight date was chosen?
Are we brave enough?
For years before this fateful day, the Indian National Congress had celebrated the 26th of January as India's Independence Day. It was on this day in 1930 that the historic Purna Swaraj resolution was passed after the failure in negotiations over the issue of dominion status for India. Then in February 1947, wrecked by the Second World War and wanting to get out as fast as possible, the British Prime Minister Clement Attlee announced that India would be granted full self-governance by the 30th of June 1948. But Lord Mountbatten, who was appointed the Viceroy of India to oversee the transfer of power, decided to expedite the process to minimize the fallout of the communal tension that had already begun to sweep across the country due to the partition of India. So when he was asked which date India should be given freedom on, he decided the 15th of August. This was the date when Japan surrendered after it was pulverized by 2 nuclear bombs. The date had a personal appeal for Mountbatten, as he had been Supreme Allied Commander of Southeast Asia Command, and he had accepted the Japanese surrender himself in Singapore. But there was a slight hitch. When astrologers consulted their charts, they learned that August 15 was an extremely inauspicious day for Indians. So a compromise had to be made, and it was decided that India would be granted independence at the hour between August 14th and 15th. In the West, a new day begins at midnight, but according to the Hindu calendar, it begins at sunrise. Thus, the Constituent Assembly convened at midnight. On the evening of 15th of August 1947, India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru hoisted the national flag for the first time in the open lawns of Princess Park near India Gate in front of a rejoicing crowd of thousands. Cities and villages across the country joined in the celebrations. In fact, one of the greatest displays was in Bombay, which very few realized was the epicenter of the freedom movement. Here, the University Tower was lit up during the night, and a procession carrying nationalist banners marched the roads during the day. Political prisoners were freed, and all death sentences were commuted to life imprisonment. Houses were lighted with diyas, and people danced together on the streets. Shouts of Mahatma Gandhi ki Jai reverberated throughout the air. But the father of the nation, who through his message of non-violent resistance had made independence possible, was conspicuously absent from the celebrations. Instead of being in Delhi with the national leaders, he chose to remain in riot-ridden Calcutta, appealing to the people for peace between Hindus and Muslims. On August 14th, he had noted, "From tomorrow we shall be delivered from the bondage of the British rule. But from midnight today, India will be partitioned too. While, therefore, tomorrow will be a day of rejoicing, it will be a day of sorrow as well. It will throw a heavy burden of responsibility upon us. Let us pray to God that He may give us the strength to bear it."